Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you today with the Hasbro's Transformers Studio Series Leader Class Coronation Starscream. I was very much on the fence about picking this up, but I've always wanted a King Starscream, and I saw it on the shelf and I figured, well, why not? Why don't we just go through it together? I will say here right off the bat, the one thing that I'm hating is this whole I don't know what the technical thing is, but like this trying to save plastic, I understand. But at the same time, when you're an action figure collector, you're just kind of like, really? As you can see on the box here, you can't see the window for the figure like the older ones. So you're just kind of like, oh, come on. And when you pull him out, he's tied into cardboard box stuff. And his accessories, there's one plastic baggie that sort of holds like the cape and stuff, but the essential stuff, his cape, his blasters, come wadded up in tissue. How long is that tissue really going to last till we get home or whatever and put this in a plastic baggie and there's more plastic. So that's probably my biggest gripe about this whole thing overall. I love seeing the figure in the packaging. I love the blister pack so that when I'm done reviewing, I can just pop them in there and know that all the accessories are safely secured. So I understand, but I also don't. As you can see, the package over here, the side has a really nice product shot of King Starscream. Come around to the back and you get your traditional stuff. There's a read-up. I'll get a close-up so you could read it at your convenience. Come back around. This way you see the 86 Starscream Leader Class. Nothing on the bottom. You get that awesome old school Transformers the movie logo there on top. So with that said, let's get Starscream here off the spinner and get a closer look at him. Backstory on Starscream. His first comic appearance was Transformers #1 from Marvel Comics in September of 1984. His first cartoon appearance was Season 1, Episode 1 of the 84 Transformers cartoon. He was voiced by Christopher Collins, better known as Chris Latta, who is also widely known as the voice of Cobra Commando and Old Snake from Season 4 of the Transformers cartoon. During the 86 movie, Starscream tosses a half-dead Megatron into space so that he could finally become the leader of the Decepticons. However, during his coronation, which was, 30 seconds, something like that, he was murdered by Galvatron, which is the resurrected Megatron. And that's how a lot of the original OG Transformer characters died, was from the movie, and really irked a lot of fans. If you've never seen it, highly recommend it. Now let's get into the accessories that this coronation version comes with. And I think it was the accessories that really sold me, especially being an action figure photographer. This piece right here, the throne. Even though it is one piece, I would have liked to see maybe some black wash on it. But still, it's a nice, beefy piece. I love the Decepticon logo there. And it looks very much like something you'd find on Cybertron. It very much has that Cybertronian look to it. Another upside is weapon storage. So as we go through, I'll kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. So let's put the throne here in the background. The next thing he comes with are several, let's move Starscream out of my way, different size blasters for shoulders and hands. And I wish there'd been like maybe some black wash on these suckers, because they're just straight up gray. And I kind of feel like it sort of loses pizzazz for that reason. But once you put it on the figure itself, it looks good, but I'm just the kind of like, see, they have some like battle damage, or just not like a lot, but maybe a little bit of shading. So as you can see, again, we got these that are this size, and then we got these, which maybe is just an optical illusion. They look bigger or the same size now. I don't know. Maybe I'm smoking crack, or maybe it's Maybelline. Who knows? But at least you get all the different sizes, and of course, they have the pegs so you can peg them wherever you want on the character. So that's very much a welcomed design, especially in robot mode or vehicle mode, which I think in the original Marvel comics they call it stealth mode or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, going back to the throne. Sadly, it doesn't take all the weapons. I think you could probably maybe hide some down here, but at least you can plug one now. Actually, no, since I have that one there, let's use the other ones. Plug that there, and that there, and you get that going on. The next thing that he comes with are shoulder pads in his robot mode. Again, you probably have to hide them down below in the poop deck. Poop deck. But they're nice looking, purple. Again, maybe some shading would look good. When you get these out, these peg right here is folded inward, so you have to kind of monkey with that to make it look proper on Starscream's shoulder. Also, you have this. What this is, you fold it down. You take the blue ones, because the other ones have the backing and it doesn't work right. So take the blue ones, and boom goes the dynamite, and that'll just sit on his shoulder. So good stuff there. There's, again, no thingamajigs. There's no pegs here, so you just probably have to boop. Again, let's get back to focusing on this. You'll probably have to hide more the more bulkier stuff there, but at least you can put weapons here, which leads me to the next piece. And toss that there. Toss that there. The cape. Now, again, I kind of wish McFarlane and Hasbro would kind of get it together, because Mafex and all the more higher end figures are kicking ass with capes because they're cloth and they're wired. This should have been clothed and wired because it's not bendy. It's, again, one of those hard frickin' plastics. So when you sit Starscream down, as you can see, no go Flojo on being able to sit with the cape because it's a hard plastic. I do kind of like how you can expand it like that so you can get a nice big whoosh. That's kind of neat. But you could have just as easily, instead of making that ugly, if you would have just given us wires, which in the long run you would think, instead of hard plastic, which, again, plastic shortage, bendy wire and cloth I think would have been cheaper. But it is what it is. At least here you got that center peg there, and it pegs to the back. Throw you back in there. And then last but not least, to make this a coronation ceremony, the iconic crown that falls from Starscream's head as a Galvatron blows him to oblivion. The gold on it, very nice. The red tips, I kind of wish, the red looks good, the red paint, but I think it would have been kind of neat if they just would have done like a translucent plastic. I think that would have been very cool. But the shimmering gold, very nice stuff. And it pegs on his head very well. We'll look at that here in a minute. But very nice crown. And if you're tired of him being a King Starscream and you just want him to be regular Starscream, you see how you have like this sort of mini cross-looking thing here? Line up that peg with the top. And voila. Weapon storage, at least on the crown. Or on the throne, the crown. Whatever. So yeah, I like that this throne has a multi-purpose where, you're going to put your figure, obviously. And if you want to put them on a shelf and you want all your stuff together, you can at least weapon storage it that way. That's a very much welcome addition there. Now, talking about Starscream, now if you're wondering what this stand is, these are those NECA of flight stands that you can get at Target over by the electronics section. They're very hit or miss if they're in stock, so if you see them, buy them up. I only bought 2 last time, So the next time they came in, I bought a bunch. And as you can see, it just easily pegs into Starscream, so that's how I was able to get him to stand on that. Very cool stuff. Take that blaster off. And we'll talk about the paint apps here in his airplane mode, which a lot of people, I'll put it this way. I love Transformers. I love the originals. Now for the Bay movies, I'm not a huge fan, but I do love the intricacy of the action figures, and I liked, at least for the time, in terms of the CGI of the Transformers, they looked good. I will say that. Fight me if you will down in the comments. But the movies, in like terms of plot, horrible. We're not going to get in the shot of the boob and all that good stuff. Though, if they do keep up with what they accomplished in the Bumblebee movie, I think we'll be good to go. Now these, I'm getting them. Again, me and the Miz has kind of made a compromise when it comes to Transformer figures. She said collect them as long as they're part of a movie wave. So that's how I got my OG looking Soundwave, because I was like, hey honey, it's part of the Bumblebee movie. This one, hey honey, this was part of the 80s Transformers film, and that's how I got Grimlock and Rodimus. And we'll go through all those eventually. You got to give me time. Anyway, back to the figure. I'm rambling at this point. The Decepticon logos here on the wings look amazing. I always like the gold on the cockpits of the whatchamacallums, the Decepticons. I don't know, it looks nice. It just very much makes it pop. His reds and his blues, like you would think that all the colors that he has, you know, the purples, reds, grays, that it would look ridiculous, but for some reason with Starscream and his personality, it works. I don't know why, but help me, it works. And I'm also glad that when you transform him, as you can see, yeah, you can kind of see where things sort of tuck in, but it doesn't look like a jumbled mess underneath. I love seeing the little thrusters here. Those look great. He looks nice and clean. Now, going back to, again, see, tangent. So I didn't get the Earthrise version of this. A lot of people are saying this looks just like the Earthrise. I didn't know that. I had to watch a couple of reviews to see what everyone was talking about. I get it. But still, just this one. I don't know, the paint apps on this one compared to the other one, I don't know. It looks better to me in my opinion, but you know, it's just one person's. Just a very nice figure overall. Paint apps look great. Very clean, sleek. I'm glad that everything flushes up, because there are those Transformers where you try to transform and there's always going to be that one little thing that's just kind of like merp. So I'm glad that everything flushes up. I like that when you get him in his plane mode, that the wings can move. Though it would have been kind of cool if you could, well, I guess you kind of can. You just have to unpeg it here where, you know, oops. Another thing I will say about these newer figures compared to old school ones is the old school stuff, when it breaks, it breaks. And if you glue it, it's there forever. This, it's just a peg. So if it pops off while you're trying to get it in there. But anyway, so I'm kind of glad that if you want to kind of get them to like fly backwards, you got that option. But yeah, if it pops out while you're transforming, at least you can put it back in, because when that popped out, I went, oh shit, and took a deep breath and saw it was a peg, a peg, and went, oh yeah. So with that said, that's the paint apps of the plane mode. Those are the accessories. Now let's look at the transformation and all the good stuff of the robot mode. And as you can see in his robot mode, I like the way he looks. Even though he's supposed to be a leader class, I wish he was a little bit taller. Because as you can see, the backdrop that he comes with, you know, the box in and of itself seems big, right? And you're thinking, oh, this is going to be a regular leader class type figure. But no, this size for me, and you know, if I'm wrong, you know, feel free to let me know, but I feel like he's more of a Voyager than a leader class. So I feel like that was very much a mislead. So that's probably the biggest frustration I have against this Starscream. Other than that, now that we've looked at the backdrop, goodbye, let's look at the figure himself. You know, it's kind of the same paint apps when he's in his airplane mode, but I just want to show what it looks like when he's an actual robot. And again, love those thrusters on his chest, the gold there. I do wish that they would do something about how to hide the nose cone, because it just, sitting there like a backpack, sort of frustrating. It is what it is. And I like how everything just kind of tucks up and looks nice and clean, like the way he's supposed to in a in the cartoon and or the movie. It's pretty close, movie accurate, but I'm sure, we're using pieces from a different mold, which is, people said, the Earth Fall or Earth whatever. I don't know. I'm still happy with it. I think it looks great. Articulation-wise, arms go up. And if you work around the wing, you can go 360 that way. 90-degree arms. Hand does open and close, so I think that's kind of cool. It only does that for the transformation. Does have a bicep swivel there. Head on a dumbbell joint, I think is what it is, but you can get them do that. So not too bad there. Let me get some focus because I'm just blurring the chit here. I do wish that Takara and Hasbro would figure out a way to do more of a swivel, like a, what do you call that? Torso swivel there, because it would help so much with different shots for photography. Waist swivel aside, at least he has an upper thigh swivel here, and when you bring up the crotch flap, sounds so weird, you can kick out that much. And he does have a butt flap. I really do think Hasbro has an affinity for butt flaps. I'm not going to go any further into that, but seeing as how you can't do a lot of their figures to do that, I think they have some sort of affinity for that. Almost 90-degree split, so that's good stuff there. Can do 90 degrees at the leg. His foot can pivot just a little bit. And that's about it for the articulation, which is not too bad on these bulky robots. Transformation-wise, I always say start with the hands, because I'll be honest with you, the hardest thing about this figure for me, and it may be different for you, but it's the hands. The hands drive me nuts. So you flip that up, open this little doohickey, and then you gotta tuck all this doohickey into this doodad. Here's the trick. Is when we pulled this out, you saw that there was a little peg, right? So that peg has to go inside all that gunk in order for this to finally become flush and clickety-clack. So there's that. All right, one down. So you bring this reminds me of a scary movie. Grab my strong arm. Come around this way. Same thing, hand, open sesame. This is the little SOB that I'm talking about, so make sure that thing, and to give you further, so you'll know, see how I was talking about where it needs to kind of flesh up, or that little catch. What happened is underneath the hands, you gotta make sure it goes in that little hole, or else it's not gonna come up there and lock down. So, there's that. Next. And this part's not hard, but it can be a little challenging. Be careful. These pegs here, like every time that I try to show you, the focus is like, nah, bro. That thingamajig, you got to pull these apart to bring the chest piece out. And the reason I say be careful is I did that, and yeah, my fingernail decided to go. So when you pull it, legs are going to go back. And you're doing that because you want to get the head out and spun. And then you can go ahead and take the nose cone, slap that on, flip that around, and then burp. I spun it the wrong way. I spun it the wrong way. Because you want it to lock up there, like so. Now the next thing, while the chest piece is open, take the strong arms and make sure to fold them in. Flush them up. And you can snap that back into place. Next, moving on. Feet. Snap them together. And then these you can bring up. So the foot was initially like that. Pull it up. You see this peg here? Take that. Snap-a-rooney. Same thing on the other side. Then take the legs, port them into each hole. And look at that, guys, we're almost there. Lastly, spin this big boy around. Untab the legs. Now, what I like to do, because what's going to happen is you're going to connect this to this. So I kind of like to do it from this angle so I can make sure that those are going to become flush. So when you come back around, you're almost 100% sure that those are going to be in the right spot. Bring the crotch flap up. Bring the knee pads back. Bring the crotch down. Now the wings, what's going to happen is these here, I'm going to bring them into the hole. So what I did is just down, spin the wing, and you see, focus, peg, and then there's a peg hole right there. You're going to spin the wing and just peg those in like so. And as you guys saw a minute ago, if they snap off, you can just put it back on that joint. So bring that down, flush it up, spin the wing. And then you bring little wings down, and voila, we are back in the airplane mode. Whew! And then of course you have all the little peg holes on the bottom, so you can put the blasters in wherever you feel necessary. It's a fun transformation once you get used to it. It's not super intricate, which, you know, I don't mind a challenge sometimes, but a lot of these can get ridiculous. But yeah, this one is fun and it looks beautiful in both modes. Now for a quick size comparison, this is what I meant by I feel like this is a cop-out calling this Starscream a leader class. When I think of leader class, I think of figures like the Dark Side of the Moon Sentinel Prime. That thing is a leader class and is also a major pain in the ass to transform. If you guys have never tried it, it takes a lot of patience in folding. Now, on that same token, that's a leader class. This is the Revenge of the Fallen Brahm. And these are the kind of the smaller ones that you usually see on the peg. So if you look at Starscream here in the middle, I could see him almost, just barely, as you can see him next to Brawn here, being a Voyager class. Voyager class are more the medium-sized ones like you'll see with, God, what's his name? Ironhide and stuff like that. Or the other, a lot of the primes that have come out. But yeah, the leader classes, you'll usually see ones like this, or what's his name? The bad dude. Megatron. Or Shockwave. But yeah, definitely a Voyager class. Calling this a leader class was definitely a cop-out. But still, I'm thankful to have them. Gorgeous figure. And even when you put them next to the Bay movie figures here, they look gorgeous. They're going to fit well on a shelf together. I'm going to be honest with y'all. When I took him initially out of the box, and I saw how small he was, I almost turned around and went back to Walmart and got my money back. I was not happy at the size of him. But I said, you know what? I'm going to relax, and I'm going to see what happens. and I'm glad I did. In doing so, I've thoroughly come to enjoy this figure. Yeah, there's going to be some things that people are like, well, that's just a repaint, a reissue, la 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 la. But just the fact that I have a show accurate Starscream, and for the most part, not 100%, but decently movie accurate, I'm content. At that point, I don't care anymore because that's just how I am. If you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, though, take it with a grain of salt. It's just my opinion. It may not matter to you. It may matter to you. If you have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if your shop has got this in stock. If not, then you can check out places like Big Bad Toy Store or Dorkside Toys. I luckily just happened upon mine at Walmart. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Decepticon bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Photo slideshow coming up next, and I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.